If you were to ask a Jehovah's Witness today if the Watchtower had any connection to occult beliefs, the answer would be an emphatic no. In fact, the organization frequently reminds its members that such practices are clearly forbidden by the Bible. What they don't tell you is that the very founder of the religion was quite interested in the occult. In fact, several of the central doctrines and beliefs upheld by the witnesses to this day were originally supported by Charles Taze Russell's writings on subjects such as astrology, pyramidology, and the divination of future events. He even went so far as to suggest that truths delivered by satanic means were still truths and were not to be discarded. Alcyone, then, as far as science has been able to perceive, would seem to be the midnight throne in which the whole system of gravitation has its central seat, and from which the Almighty governs His universe. And here is the wonderful corresponding fact, that at the date of the Great Pyramid's building, at midnight at the autumnal equinox, and hence the true beginning of the year, as still preserved in the traditions of many nations, the Pleiades were distributed over the meridian of this pyramid, with Alcyone precisely on the line. Here we see Russell dabbling in concepts of astrology, even suggesting that Jehovah resides on a star located in the Pleiades cluster and the Taurus constellation, which, he asserts, is the center of the universe. An earlier version of the Watchtower publication, called Zion's Watchtower, printed this article entitled, An Astrologer's Outlook. We seriously question all the claims of astrology, yet the following, from whatever source the suggestions come, even though of the adversary himself, seem remarkably true to our expectations, based upon the word of the Lord. The Zion's Watchtower then goes on to relate a number of astrological predictions, such as this one. When Uranus and Jupiter meet in the humane sign of Aquarius in 1914, the long-promised era will have made a fair start in the work of setting man free to work out his own salvation, and will ensure the ultimate realization of dreams and ideals of all poets and sages in history. It seems that the Watchtower has been quick to grasp at any information that may support their claims, even if it originates with the occult. Another example of the assertion of Jehovah's literal residing place can be found in the 1928 book titled Reconciliation. It has been suggested, and with much weight, that one of the stars of that group is the dwelling place of Jehovah and the place of the highest heavens. The Pleiades is the place of the eternal throne of God. Let's move on to pyramidology, a subject that Russell seemed to have maintained a fairly extensive interest in. As a testament to his involvement in the occult, a large memorial in the shape of a pyramid sits next to his gravestone. Several versions of his book, Studies in the Scriptures, depicted the Pyramid of Giza on the front cover, as well as a fold-out diagram called Chart of the Ages. Russell uses a number of measurements from the pyramid to back up his predictions on the end of the world. Here, we see reference to the familiar date of 1914, a date which is still pivotal to Watchtower doctrine to this very day. This calculation shows AD 1915 as marking the beginning of the period of trouble. Thus, the pyramid witnesses that the close of 1914 will be the beginning of the time of trouble. The Watchtower later had this to say: The Great Pyramid of Egypt, standing as a silent and inanimate witness of the Lord, is a messenger, and its testimony speaks with great eloquence concerning the divine plan. If so many of the Watchtower's predictions and doctrines up until now have been incorrect, or at least in need of major new light refinement, just who, exactly, was inspiring all of these teachings in the first place? Presumably, it is the same spiritual influences that guide and direct the Watchtower today. As we can see, the Watchtower's own publications seem to suggest a long history with occult-like practices. Much of these former beliefs and predictions have since been swept under the rug, but resulting dates and doctrines, such as 1914, still survive to this day. Since Jehovah's Witnesses do not take part in other Christian holidays and traditions due to their pagan origins, why do they still rely on doctrines and blindly follow an organization that obviously originated with fringe beliefs in Spiritism? Conveniently, the Jehovah's Witnesses have ignored this scripture. 1914, 1915, 1918, 1920, 1925, 1941, 1975. All of these predictions have come and gone, many of them supported by astrology, ambiguous mathematical calculations, and supposedly divine inspiration. Clearly, the occult writings of the Watchtower Society are a stone witness to their own failure.